Are you coming in then?
Good morning, and what a show we got lined up for you today. What a lineup as well. My old friend Marti Pellow will be dropping by the house for a spot of lunch and a very special musical performance. The ladies of the house are very happy. Chef Nick Nairn and I will be letting the train take the strain on a food adventure to the Highlands of Scotland. The one and only Cyrus Toddywaller will be back. He'll be treating me to a recipe for Indian potato cake. And with just over 4 weeks to go until Christmas and the big day, we'll be getting into the Christmas spirit when First States barman Merlin Griffiths will be back. He drops by with some festive cocktails. I'm looking forward to that one. But first, my guest at the house today is a legendary figure in the food world and a chef who bringing some incredible cuisine to the streets of Cheltenham since the 1980s. It's the fabulous David Everett Mateus. Now, David, welcome to the house. Your first time you've been here.
Yeah.
Slightly nervous, as I can see.
Oh, my word, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing about yourself, you've got a CV like no other. Restaurant's been there, what, 35 years now?
Yeah, 36, yeah. We're in our 36th year, yeah.
And never missed a service, is that?
Never, no.
Still not missed a service.
Still not missed a service, no.
It's absolutely fantastic. But what are you going to be cooking for us? You're taking one of the dishes and bringing it to the house today?
Yeah, I'm doing a Newlyn Gurnard, so it's from Cornwall, with some pumpkin roasted with a mandarin cashew.
Sounds pretty good to me. But I'm going to be cooking first, if that's all right.
Yes, that's no problem.
I'm going to be cooking for you first. And we reverse this around. Instead of doing a savoury dish, we're going to do sort of a nice little dessert. So I'm kicking things off today with an apple, pear and vodka crumble. Made from vodka with a very special supplier down in Devon, which I'll introduce you in a minute. But the first thing we do is going to get our sort of our crumble. I'm actually going to do this with a custard as well, a vodka custard. So the crumble, you can make it two ways. You can either cook the fruit, the apples and the pears beforehand, or you cook it with the crumble. I prefer the old-fashioned method, where you basically chuck everything in together and then put the crumble on the top and then slowly cook it in the oven. But there are chefs that do it the fast way, and people do it the fast way, but I'm going to take a combination of equal quantities of sort of pears and the apples over here, and I'm just basically going to get this, not even just dice them all up, really, just simply dice them all up. Same over here, in the pan over here, we're just going to get some melted butter on the go, and start this off. So just the vodka side of it comes in the form at the end, and a little bit of the custard. We make classic with egg yolks, a little bit of cream, a little bit of milk, that kind of stuff. But I did say to you, before I add the vodka to this, we're going to head down to Devon, because that's where we're going to go now to a farm, not far from Brixham, to speak to Leanne Carr from Devon Cove. Leanne, I can see you. What a glorious day it is down there by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning today.
So tell me whereabouts you are then. You're obviously not in Brixham. You're just outside. Whereabouts are you?
But we're in South Devon, just overlooking Hope Cove.
Right. And tell me about yourself, really, then, because this all started. Your family are farmers, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So my family have been farming in the local area for generations, mainly farming potatoes all around the area.
And then you were not involved in the farm, and then you were just you're asked by your family to come back and help out on the farm, but then you had one strict instruction. I love this.
Yeah. So what happened is I'd actually become redundant in my role for my job I'd done for many years, and my family had sort of jokingly said to me, "Oh, why don't you come and join the family business?" And I said, "Well, only if you want to make vodka out of potatoes." Kind of just as a joke, really. And then the seed was sort of sown, and I thought, well, that's actually a really good idea. Could be something that would be really interesting to do. So then I spent the next almost about 18 months. I just had my second son at the time, so I was on maternity leave. So took that as an opportunity to really get to know all about the process and meet other food and drink businesses in Devon, of which there are so many fabulous ones. It's such a good food and drink community to be part of. And just the more I got involved in it, the more excited I got about the idea of doing it and realised we can make a really fabulous product.
Because we've seen the explosion of gin suppliers and gin distilleries, grow massively over the years. Is it the same still? Is it the same similar sort of process? How do you go about making it?
Yeah, so it's a bit different than making a gin because you need to use a column still, and vodka is really the base for gin. So it's kind of going back a stage before you get into adding the botanicals and things. So what you do is we get our potatoes from fresh from the field, wash the potatoes. We then put them through a fruit mulcher so that we can break them down. We then cook them like crazy. We then ferment, which takes about a week. So almost a bit like making a beer, really. It goes through the fermenting process, which creates the alcohol from the potatoes. And then after that, you then distill the potatoes. So it probably takes about 10 days overall, give or take a few days to get the finished product of making the vodka.
And interestingly enough, obviously with recipes and different types of potatoes we use them for different sort of things, do you find, I'm just taking a little bit of this and just drizzling it over here, and we're going to make a little custard with this. Do you find that there is a big difference between the type of potatoes to use and the end product to the vodka?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the main thing is about creating the alcohol content from the potatoes. So if you used a variety of potato that was a really waxy potato, you haven't got enough starch in there to physically create the alcohol. So it's absolutely critical to have that really starchy potato in the first place.
Well, you've got one convert already here. We're happy with that. It's nice, isn't it?
Nice. Yeah, very good.
Tastes really, it's delicious. And then, so this time of year, we've got to explain this one over here, damson. This damson one as well. This looks your classic sort of Christmas vodka that we've got over here. How do you make this?
So this was our second product we launched quite quickly after doing our vodka. We use damsons because they're such a lovely British fruit, and there's some really nice nostalgia about damsons. I find that so many people I talk to, their grands have made damson jam. There's something really lovely about that.
You're exactly the same as my gran. She used to grow damsons and absolutely loved making her own gin.
Yeah, absolutely. They're great in gin. They're great in vodka. You get so much flavour from the fruit. So what we do is we actually get some of our vodka and we soak the damsons in the vodka. So you're using the fresh fruit, really nice and ripe. We've just literally gone past a damson season for picking now. And then we get as much flavour as we possibly can out of the fresh fruit. And we're using our vodka as the base. You still got that lovely smooth creaminess of the vodka with the fresh fruity burst of the damsons as well. So the result is just delicious. And we recommend just serving it over ice, maybe with a berry as a garnish, but also in a glass of Prosecco. And that is just great for Christmas. It's such a lovely festive drink to have and looks beautiful in the glass as well. They've got
another two converts here. Now going back to your potatoes and the farm business as well, it's not been a great year, has it, really, for producers and particularly potato producers, really? I mean, for you on the farm, taking away the vodka must be incredibly difficult. That's coming about that the weather's not been great for you as well. So the crop itself is going to be very, very different for next year.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's right. We've had such a significant period of dry weather, and it's undoubtedly had an impact on the crop. Because we're based down on a peninsula, we get the sort of Atlantic weather coming in. We haven't been affected quite so much by the heat. We haven't had the extreme heats here that they have in the sort of southeast of England, but we have had, the long period of no rain. So that does have an impact in that the potatoes just don't physically grow as much because they don't have enough rain, really.
You must have noticed this, David. As well, with the produce coming in, it's very different to what it is year on year, isn't it?
It used to be very lush when it was, glorious, and it's sort of like you're having a struggle now to find the best quality from your supplier.
Because see, people looking at different produce that's grown above the ground, but like Leanne was saying, below the ground, potatoes, for instance. Yeah. I've been told that sort of next year, March, April, May, maybe that this year's crop for next year is going to be half the size. The water content's not going to be as much. The product will be a totally different thing.
Yeah.
So, and it's a struggle to get it out of the ground as well. I can see you've got certain things out of the ground, but it's also a struggle, I mean, although it's glorious behind you, but it's negative effect on what you have on the farm down there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've come into the end of our harvesting season now, so we're sort of nearly done and getting into the time where we're storing everything up to use throughout the rest of the year.
Well, I'm going to make a little custard over here just to show people this at home. This is a little bit of egg yolks, a little bit of sugar. So I've got some vanilla, I've got some milk, I've got some cream. I'm not going to add the vodka till once this is done, but the best way to do this is utilise a whisk, really. And what you want to do is use a whisk, and as the bubbles disappear, so take it on and off the heat like that. So many times you use a wooden spoon, it ends up splitting. If you use a whisk and go on and off the heat like that, once the bubbles start to disappear, it starts to get thick. That's when it's ready to take off the heat. But it's a classic sort of homemade custard. We can then take this off now, pass it through a sieve, and you can see roughly when this is just about ready. You can see that it's just starting to split in the bottom of the pan. That's when it should be absolutely bang on, which is that. It's about there. Use really good egg yolks as well. You get this amazing colour from the custard. And then, of course, we can add a little bit of vodka to it as well. A little bit of that mixes in there. And then you've got your classic custard to go with it, to go with our nice little bit. Shame I can't actually send some down to you, really, Leanne, but we got a nice little bit of your wonderful little, which is actually the UK's favourite dessert, the crumble, the apple crumble. I don't blame him, to be honest, but nice little bit of crumble to go with it. I'm just going to serve that. Remember, this is a vodka crumble with a nice little bit of vodka custard to go with it. Well, so, Leanne, I wish you all the very best of luck with everything as well. And long may it continue. Has been the success that you've set it all up. Relatively new company, but best of luck with everything. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't believe I'm serving you apple crumble and custard. But it's a chef's thing, isn't it?
It's a chef's thing, without a doubt.
Apple crumble and custard. There you have it. But
right.
You've got to have apple crumble and custard, haven't you, really? But it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. You can have all the desserts in the world, but apple crumble and custard.
It's gorgeous.
Lovely, isn't it? Nice and simple. There we go. Right, still to come. With that, it's even better. Still to come, we got dishes from David and Chef Cyrus Toddywaller, and I'll be joined in the house by my guest, Marti Pellow, very shortly. But join us after the break. We'll be swapping Hampshire for the Highlands on the latest leg of my food adventure. I'll see you in a bit. It's all right, ain't it?
Gorgeous.
Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be joining a recipe from the legendary chef David Everett Mateus, and former Wet, Wet, Wet frontman Marti Pellow will be pulling up his stool in the kitchen very shortly. Right, it's time to take a look back at one of my favourite food adventures. And this week, I'm continuing to explore the culinary delights of one of my favourite places in the world, Scotland, with my good mate Nick Nairn aboard the Royal Scotsman. As you do, but enjoy this one. Welcome back. Today I'm in stunning Scotland, travelling aboard the Bellman Royal Scotsman train with top chef Nick Nairn.
Can't wait.
We've enjoyed a taste of luxury, visited some amazing Scottish producers.
John, thank you so much.
And as the train heads towards Aviemore in the Scottish Highlands, we're dressing up for a fine dining experience. I feel like I should be serving drinks, to be honest with you. Come on, dinner's up, look at you.
It's a kilt.
Look at that.
Have you never seen a kilt before?
Spin round.
Yes.
Let's go for dinner. Have you got anything underneath that?
No.
Oh,
Of course not.
I've got to eat. We're taking in the elegance of the vintage dining car and about to meet executive chef Mark Tamburini.
Mark, how you doing?
How are you doing, Mark? Nice to meet you. Have a seat.
Thank you for coming and joining us.
So this is the calm before the storm, is it?
Just a bit.
What? I mean, how long have you been working on a train?
I've been here for 9 years.
9 years.
9 years.
And I mean, it's more difficult than working in a conventional restaurant.
It has its challenges. It's the obviously the logistics of orders and obviously the moving of the train.
Yeah.
So when we're making food, it's plating. You have to think about angles and plates moving towards you. So it can be a challenge.
Yeah, and also you pick your menu reflects to where you visit as well, which hugely influences you.
As much as we can, we'll pick up beef that comes from Aberdeen and Angus. We'll get it because we go past there. We go Arbroath Smokies. We go past there as well. So as much as we can, we try and build it into the menus.
And what What kind of service is it? Is it quite formal? We're obviously expecting something quite...
Dinner is, lunch and dinner is slightly different. Lunch is a bit more relaxed, whereas dinner is obviously a formal evening. So
And how many covers can you do in here?
we can up to 40 people at a time.
So it is basically like running a hotel on wheels.
Yeah, basically like a country house, hotel on wheels.
Sorry to interrupt, but what about the wine cellar? Do you have an extensive wine cellar?
It's well stocked. Well stocked.
Enough.
Enough.
Is there enough? They knew you were coming on, you see. Exactly. It is very, very special. So I know you're going to be busy in the kitchen, so I'm looking forward to something to eat. So thank you for popping in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mark.
I can't wait for our starter.
No, that's James's butter.
There we are.
Got that there. Where's mine?
Thank you.
Oh, warm bread rolls made on the train. What could be better? We stopped.
Yeah, I don't know where we are. I can't pronounce it. It's over there.
It's Dunkeld and Burnham. Till Burnham Wood should come to Dunsinane. Hamlet.
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Hamlet.
I tell you what, look at that. Looks amazing, doesn't it? Scallops.
Stunning. Beautiful. 3 large hand-dyed scallops.
I tell you what.
There's no food cost on here. 2 little arancini.
I don't know.
Curry oil thing.
Don't know. What do you reckon?
It smells like a curry oil, but until I actually... Oh,
Chorizo.
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 I do. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. That is very good. We're on a train.
I know. And I don't know anything about Hamlet.
That's Hamlet. I've got it mixed up. Got Macbeth. The first one was Macbeth. It was Macbeth with Burnham Woods. Oh.
Muppet.
I feel right, Charlie, now. I'm going to savour the scallop.
So I don't know, is this a northern thing when you do this? With
No.
bread and butter? I like this. It doesn't matter whether you're dressed up in a DJ, but I quite like doing this.
See, as a chef, when the plates come back into the kitchen, the biggest compliment you can play the chef is to have had your bread in there.
Is a bread line.
Bread line.
Our mains are on their way.
Smelt it coming in there.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, man.
Oh,
That's not a small portion.
beautiful.
It looks and smells.
Bit of beef.
Astonishing. Little fondant potatoes, some green beans, some kind of cheese butter.
Yeah, so blue cheese butter.
Man, look at that.
You know this is going to taste good, though, don't you? You
Yeah.
don't even have to taste it. Well, you do.
No, but that's innate chefs. It smells fantastic. Stunning.
Stunning. While we finish our gourmet meal, let's wind the clock back a little for my final cook on my trip to Scone Palace. It really is an amazing place, this. Especially when the sky is like this. It's exactly what Scotland is. I mean, just look at this. Beautiful, beautiful. And I thought I'd do a dish that's kind of perfect for this, really. It would be served in banquets. Be quiet. Peacock is what I'm going to serve in a minute. But I thought with this one, we'd do a dish that's served a lot in houses like this. It's lamb, but it's also, because it's great around this area, but ratatouille. Ratatouille is a dish that you don't often see on menus anymore, but made properly, made simply, and cooked well, it is truly delicious. I'm going to do that with a little salsa verde. So we've got leg of lamb steaks, and I've thickly cut them. So for this, we're going to simply cook them, but I'm going to use the flavours of this area as well. Heather. Because heather, when you cook it over coals, tastes the food. You get an amazing flavour from it as well. But you put the heather on it like this, pop the lamb on, and cook them over this heather. So no salt and pepper on it, because obviously the salt and pepper is going to burn on this and just going to fall off. You're better off seasoning them afterwards, to be honest with you. I'm just going to leave this to cook. So wash my hands. And then we're going to turn our attention to the ratatouille side of it. But the whole point of this is they've all got to be cut about the same size. So you take your peppers first. Now I wanted to do this because when I was a young lad, I used to work in a house similar to that. Not a palace. It was at Castle Howard, working in the kitchens. And I used to cook this dish. Brings back memories of my childhood. But just look at that. They cook amazing. Look at this. These are going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to cook all the way through. And then while they're doing that, we can take our aubergine. And they cut this a sort of similar size to the peppers. Chop it all up. Courgettes the same as well. Like that. And then take our lamb out and just leave it to rest. It's like all barbecued meats. Don't just put it straight on the plate and eat it. Leave it to rest. Meanwhile, we can turn our attention to our little ratatouille. So, pan on the stove. So we'll just take some onions. It's important to you, when you're slicing this or chop them all, is you do these in little piles. Because the secret of a good ratatouille, it's got to be cooked in a particular order. You don't just chuck it all in. Touch of garlic. And then really, really good extra virgin olive oil. Cook whichever veg takes the longest to cook first. So obviously the onions are going to go in first because they take the longest. So we're cooking this without colour really. And you do this every minute roughly, add a veg. Now you can add the garlic, because if you add the garlic too early it burns and goes bitter. And then you add the courgettes. So while it's cooking, we can also chop our tomatoes, because this is where you get the sauce from. You want to taste each individual flavour with it, together with the lamb and everything else. At the same time, we can add our peppers. Now we can add our aubergine and our tomatoes. So as it's cooking, we'll season it up. And a pinch of salt. And this is where you can add a little bit of oil. Now, don't be tempted to put tons of it in. Aubergines are like a sponge. They absorb the oil, and then when they've had enough, they just basically dump it out like mushrooms. So just gently, gently cook this now. And then while that's stewing, we can just add some basil to this. You can either chop it or you can just rip it up. But that's going to go in there as well. And with this, you don't need gravy, you need a sauce. But I'm going to do a green sauce, not a pesto, but a salsa verde, which is done with capers, anchovies. Take garlic, like this. Pop that in there as well. You take 2 different types of herbs. We've got mint and we've got parsley, and just chop it all up together. So mint and parsley, capers, anchovy, then the final bit with just some lemon and lemon zest. Now you can do this in a food processor. Just give it a quick blitz, enough so it's slightly chunky. No comment, I know what you're thinking. And this is a great sauce that you can do not just with lamb, you can do it with chicken, you can do it with steak, you can do it with fish. We've got some lemon, bit of grated zest of a lemon. Take some lemon juice. Just a little pile of that on it as well, together with some olive oil. And you mix all this lot together to create an amazing little green sauce. It packs so much of a punch, this. Nearly there with our ratatouille. Look at this beautiful colour from this. And then this is where we can turn our attention back to our lamb. Give this a quick season up, some black pepper, bit of salt, and then I'm going to take some heather honey over the top of the lamb. Just take a little bit of oil. Scottish bowl. This is a Scottish bowl. We bought it on the trip, and we take some of this amazing ratatouille. You see, it's not a stew. Each individual veg you can taste. Take a nice piece of the roast lamb, sit that on the top. You got some of this fabulous salsa verde. Local lamb with wonderful veg, a salsa verde, perfect for this location because that dish has got history. It is an amazing trip, that, and that Royal Scotsman, a beautiful, beautiful trip on the train. Right, still to come, we've got recipes on the way from chefs David Everett Mateus and Mr. Cyrus Toddywaller will be here. But I'll see you back here in a couple of minutes when I'll be whipping up a stunning plate of steak from Marti Pellow with a difference. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, David Everett Mateus and Cyrus Toddywaller will be showcasing their amazing skills in the kitchen a little bit later. And first state staff Merlin Griffiths will be back mixing up some cracking cocktails for you to try this Christmas. But first, put your hands together for a singer and a songwriter whose music has been the soundtrack to millions of people's lives, including mine, since the 1980s. Is my old mate, Marti Pellow! And a massive, massive foodie as well.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely.
Welcome back.
Adore it. Thank you for having me. I can see what you've got. I mean, this is just going to be off the chart already.
I thought, what do you cook for you? Because I know you're a big lover of food. I thought you'd do something that you wouldn't really anticipate with me. So this is beef, but I'm going to marinate in sort of the Japanesey sort of influences. Koji, we're going to fry off some wild rice for a little bit of texture. We've got some lovely mushrooms over here. But first of all, we're going to take the rice. This is wild rice, and I'm going to fry a little bit of wild rice. And when you put wild rice in a pan, and you fry it, unfortunately it's a black pan on a black pan, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. But you see what's happening over here. It'll start to puff up. But you get this amazing texture, this amazing flavour from it.
Absolutely.
So this is your just fried wild rice. Over here, I'm going to make a little teriyaki sauce. Teriyaki sauce we're going to do with a little bit of mirin, a little bit of sake and some soy. But the sake and the soy, sake and mirin I'm going to put on first. And the soy goes on right at the end as well. So first of all, while I'm doing this, congratulations on a career. 40 years.
40 years, James.
How does it feel?
Mental. Mental. You know, the whole thing about it is like you like the start of your career, you wish that you'll have some longevity within any career, you know, and to have that as every decade unfolds.
Well, you certainly had that.
It's just insane.
But you get the feeling from yourself, and I've known you for a while now. You get the feeling that you never take anything for granted. You know what I mean?
You know, and I think that's you know, my dad always said to me, every day's a school day, and love it, take it in, and that's something that's important.
And that's something that's so important, particularly in the music world, because it's renowned for, you know, I mean, particularly when you were doing it as well. I mean, it's renowned, but it's changed so much over the years. I mean, you was just saying, it changed dramatically over 40 years.
It really does. And I mean, right back in the day, I worked with vinyl records we put out, and you know, and we had things like, you know, big lead-up times to releasing your records. Now it's instant. Everybody accesses their music online. It's just boom, boom, boom.
Is that better or is it worse in a way? Because
well, I think it's because that's how I would join a queue, you know, with your friends when you're waiting to buy the next record coming out on a Monday morning or whatever it is, and that's where you get your information about your band.
Because that's where you fell in love with music, wasn't it Bowie that made you fell in love?
Yes, I mean, watching on Top of the Pops, James,
right.
You know, that was our learning ground, wasn't it? Top of the Pops, and seeing people like Mark Bolan and Bowie were just like trailblazing, and they just looked from another world. I think for me, I just knew it was going to. That's something that I always wanted to do, just to be in that world.
Exactly.
Music.
Well, I always wanted to be a chef, so I'm going to. I know you're a keen cook now, so I want to show you this. Mushrooms. I'm just cooking away. I've got a lovely bit of chanterelles there, but any mushrooms, little shiitake mushrooms which I've got in here, you can add those to the mixture as well. Wonderful. But they're going to fry up as well. But Bowie was infused you in music, but it was the fact that you were singing and somebody listened to you. What did sort of, was it Michael Jackson and stuff like that?
Yeah, you know,
that's how it got started with your music career.
I think, you know, here's the deal, James. I thought everybody sang. You know, I didn't think there was anything different. I really didn't. I just believed that in the same way that people whistle, I just thought that people sang. It was just wasn't any different or anything like that.
But it wasn't what you were doing as a career though. Decorating, you painting, decorating,
whatever it took, you know, because all my family either worked in the shipyards or on the building trade. Yeah. So I was a kind of strange anomaly, really.
But look, we've got our lovely little mushrooms over here. Now I'm going to get you to taste this.
Yes.
As well, there's a thing going on. It's called ponzu. You can buy it from the supermarket. So it's like a little dressing. It's a ready-made dressing. This one's made with a little bit of wild mushrooms in there as well. I just wanted to try, but I plus put a little bit of that.
That's superb, isn't it? It's
just on its own.
And intense.
Yeah, just on its own. You've got this amazing flavour with the mushroom. There's no need to put any salt and pepper in there. You've just got the flavour.
You wouldn't want to mess with that. You know, and especially with the mushrooms, it's just going to enhance it.
You don't need to do anything with it. That's the thing.
Incredible.
And the teriyaki sauce, you can dip. There you go. Try it. Taste a bit of that. So you're going to let this reduce down a little bit.
Oh, mate, that's insane.
Well, that's in there. And I've got these amazing, these are what we talked about, these Roscoff onions, which I've just simply cooked. These have been cooking for about sort of 30 minutes in water because there's so much flavour going on in here. And we keep the skins on, and these are amazing, just roasted now or under the barbecue. They're absolutely delicious, but keep the skins on like that. And you get these amazing Roscoff onions. The dressing side of it, this is another thing that's become sort of famous over recent years. This is called miso. It's fermented soybean. You're just going to take a little bit of that, and we're going to mix that with some of that soy that I gave you as well, to make a little glaze to go over the top of our onions. Tell us about what you're doing now, because there's something different. You're out on tour again, but this is. I love this because it's just you and. There's no narrative with it other than the storyline. You've got something to say, but you're playing music. It's smaller gigs as well.
Smaller gigs, and you know we're going out there and we're just you know I built a kind of retro '70s like living room. It puts me in mind of my mammy's house in the '70s, and just going out and talking about my little stories that happened in my life and what, you know, what my loves and my passion is, and hopefully the audience when they walk away will know me a wee bit better. You know, I kind of open it. All right, everybody knows me as Marti Pellow, but you know I was born. My name is Mark McLachlan. You know, and so I want to tell you a wee bit more about Mark McLachlan.
Yeah.
And that, and you know, and how that unfolds and what my life is. Oh, by the way, I happen to sing.
Exactly. Well, this leads me on to this, because the tour is called exactly what the book is as well. This is how it comes, and this is your attention to detail, everything. This is what I love about this. Yeah. This is how the book comes, like this, and you've got inside here with.
Yeah. An album called Dante's Prayer, which was me embracing my music that my mum and dad listened to, the Celtic soundtrack. I wanted to have a soundscape when you turn the pages, basically.
And because this is not, you don't class it as an autobiography, do you?
No.
This is just
a bunch of stories.
Stories.
Just stories of little things that happened or little things that connect it, that maybe, like, you know, why I like music or why I like food or why I was obsessed with, you know, cartoons as a child and just TV and pop culture. You know, and it's just the end of it, I hope you know me a wee bit better. That was the plan of the book.
So we got our nice little bit of onions. So these are the onions. These are the miso glazed onions, which we've taken some of this miso glaze, which is in here.
Yes.
Just over the top of the onions. Now, our steak, you'll see what happens with this. With this koji, it transforms the sugars in the meat. So what you want to do is you just put this on here, and this will happen quite quickly. So you almost want to get the steak how you want it in the oven first, and then it's the finishing off side of it. So the finishing off is the crucial bit, because
you can see that.
You can see already.
Yeah, already.
So it's unlike a normal steak that you put on the barbecue. What's happening now? These sugars starting to caramelise. Now we want this, but what it will do is it will caramelise this quite quickly. So for this, we want to keep our eye on it. Now it's really, people think it's just catching too much. You want this charred flavour. Now you get that whether you're cooking it with steak like I'm doing it, but fish does exactly the same thing. So while that's on, tell us about the tour then, because this is something that people are going to love. This people are going to love. You're doing, the premise of it is you decide to play. If you want to play, you can talk a little bit more if you want to talk. Tell us a little bit about it.
That's it, you know, the idea, you know, we say, OK, right, what are we going to do? And a stream of conscious kind of starts, you walk out, you know, I introduce myself, and then I just kind of go off on little tangents and see where we go, and we play, you know, we'll play certain songs that were inspiring to us, or songs that take our fancy. And so at the moment, you know, we've done that tour, and we're going to do it again next year, just because we're enjoying it so much. We're eating our way around the UK. I'll probably end up the size of Jabba the Hutt by the end of this tour. Do you know what I mean?
Well, look, I just want to show you what. Look at that steak. That's it.
That's perfect.
There you go. But I just want to.
Oh, come on, James. I mean,
it tastes.
No teeth required.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of unusual. You get this amazing flavour from it.
Oh.
It's quite unusual. The teriyaki sauce is reducing down now. I'm just going to finish this off now, so you can see we've got our lovely mushrooms. They can just get put all over like that. And then we've got our onions. Now, what you can do with these onions, and what we tend to do in the restaurant, is we just take these and squeeze them out.
Yep.
Like this, and you end up with these petals of onions.
Beautiful.
So we can then just put these in and amongst there, like that. And then you've got the teriyaki, which is just about there. We can then fill that all in with the onions, so they've got a little whack.
Little vessels of happiness.
Little whack of flavour to go with it. Everything that you taste about this is whack, whack, whack of flavour.
I mean, it's amped.
And then you've got a bit of watercress, which brings it back round to around here. Just a little bit of watercress. Just a little bit of texture as well. And then to add a little bit more texture, you've got your wild rice, which is your crispy wild rice. We did very first of all, you take this and we can just sprinkle a little bit of that over and round the edge.
That's a plate.
There we have it, my first dish. A nice little Japanese-inspired steak with a little homemade teriyaki. But if you try and have a go, maybe not all of it, but try little bits of it. But there you go, bon appetit.
Oh, fierce, fierce.
Well, there we have it, Marty. Bon appetit.
Fantastic. Thank you, my friend.
I'm going to play another one for Grant, who's the keyboard player for you. They're going to perform it a little bit later, but tell me what you think of that, because it is... I know you've tasted quite a lot of food around the world, but that, to me...
My friend, that is superb. And tender as you like. The combination of the flavours there are just so well balanced. It's beautiful. It's a great
It's amazing
plate.
how it goes... It's suddenly on the barbecue, just goes...
Absolutely, and the caramelisation is just sweet, and the fats are just beautiful with
Well,
it.
fill your boots with that when you've got more coming. We've got, again, we've got a chicken pie at the end of the show. There you go. And Marty was sticking around all morning for us as well. But join us again after the break when the legendary chef, the genius, the chef's chef, David Everett Mateus, will be firing up the sauce for the first time at the house and treating us to an amazing dish of Cornish gurnard. I'll see you in a bit. You don't want to miss that one. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be sharing a mouth-watering recipe idea for pears in this week's Little Masterclass. But first, I'm here with the icon of the restaurant world, who's a legend, and he hasn't missed a service at his Michelin-star Cheltenham restaurant in 35, maybe 36 years?
36.
36, he's just said. It's David Everett Mateus! 36 years, 36 years. So congratulations on that. It is a gastronomic capital.
Thank you.
What are we going to be doing then?
We're doing an underrated fish, gurnard. This is from Cornwall. It's very sustainable, which is very, very important now. And also very important now is it's actually quite economical.
What are you going to start off with? You want me to do the pumpkin? I'll crack on
Yeah,
and
if you
do
can
that.
just dice that up, and we'll make a pumpkin and brown butter puree. I'm going to do the goshu.
So explain to us what this first goshu, what is it?
It's
Where's it come from?
Japanese, and it's normally made with yuzu, which is okay for professionals to get, a lot harder for the home cook to get.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've done it with mandarin. So it's normally a slightly fermented puree of the fruit, chili, salt, and sugar.
Right.
And it's all ground down in a pestle and mortar to a fine paste.
Now, what took you to Cheltenham in the first place then? What made you go there in the first place?
Well, funnily enough, a pastry chef that used to work with me in London said we should come up and look at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And in those days, there wasn't very many restaurants. It was very small. And now, as we've been there for so long, more and more restaurants have popped up. It's become a great sort of cafe society with lots of coffee shops. And festivals abound.
So what do you think this put your success? Because were you going for a Michelin star? Was that what you were aiming for
No.
when you first started? Get the feeling you weren't.
We've never, that's never been in our mind. It's just to cook what we love and serve people in a restaurant. And that's it, really.
Well, you say we, because without a successful partnership between the two of you, you
Yes.
and your wife, it wouldn't have worked, because you're still working in the restaurant now.
But yeah, and Helen's not missed a day either, so...
Can you imagine that? Missed a single day as well. So she looks after the front of house, you're back of house.
I'm back of house, yeah.
Yeah. And you must have, I can see the food that you've got, really, the ingredients that you've got have changed over the years.
Yes, we've become a lighter version of what we're doing, but it's still quite intense.
Right.
So I'm adding some grapefruit, lime zest, and lemon zest to this as well.
So what is all this actually that what you just start off with in here?
So we've got mandarin zest,
Yeah.
lime zest, lemon zest, chili, and grapefruit zest. Putting some salt in to help grind it down, and a little bit of pepper.
Right, this is your little pumpkin. You want to blend this as well, don't you, really?
Yeah, blend it right down, and then add milk and cream
Yeah.
and burn noisette.
So the pumpkin goes in with the milk and the cream.
Yeah.
And then I've got a little bit of nut brown butter over there. You take butter until it goes nut brown. Then I'm going to gradually pour this in. I presume if you put it in too quickly, it splits and that kind of stuff. But we're just going to gradually pour this in while this has been blended. Well, I'm going to blend this all up now and then just gradually pour a bit of this in there.
Okay, we're serving it with a miso dressing.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to make next. Nice light dressing.
So I'll just quickly show you. We've got to blend this up. So this is the pumpkin and the milk and the cream. And then gradually, you would then take this burnt noisette. You can see this nut brown butter over here.
Yeah.
And gradually pour it on nice and slowly. So while I do that, you can explain what this dressing is.
Okay, we've got white miso, which is the least in strength of the misos. And it's got a nice sweet taste. Some tuna soy sauce, which is made with bonito tuna. Some light soy sauce. And some molasses. Some sesame oil, roasted sesame oil.
I'd keep this going, but anyway, you can see it all starting to blend together now.
So we give that a good whisk together.
We've got one that we've got in here.
And that's all it is, really. In a bottle. Can keep this in the fridge for a good few weeks. And it's wonderful with seafood, it's wonderful with chicken. You can tart it up with a little bit more vinegar and a little bit more oil.
I know he'll want a taste of it.
Oh,
It's not bad, actually. It's all right.
not bad, though.
It's all right.
The seasoning I've got for the fish is it's hibiscus, dried hibiscus, dried rosehip shells, and cranberries. Now, these that you buy are normally a little wet like this.
Yeah.
So you need to dry them out a bit first. So once they're dry and everything's dry, add salt and sugar and just blitz until nice and fine.
Okay, you're going to get the fish on. We'll explain the pumpkin in a minute, but I know you're going to get this on as well. So tell us about gurnard then, because it's. I mean, you said it's a sustainable fish. It is amazing. I mean, I love it. It barbecues really well. It's a fantastic fish to cook with.
Yeah, it's just so economical, and it's such a meaty fish, and it carries the flavour of powerful flavours, which is my style of cooking.
Now, you've taken the skin off it as well.
Yeah, I'm not a great fan of the gurnard skin,
Right.
Unless it's really, really crispy.
Okay.
It's just that I wanted to show that this is an easier way of cooking for home.
So the fish is cooking. I've got the lid here ready.
Right, so nearly there.
Just ever so slightly cooked. See, people would be petrified at this, really. They'd be turning it over all the time.
Yeah. Well, you can see that the white is creeping up the side of the fish, and that's what we want. That's showing us that the other side is nearly there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we'll be OK to turn it over. Right, lid on.
Lid on. Just leave that on.
Leave that to one side.
Right, so what's next then?
Well, now we need to blanch up our garnish and...
Got that ready? Yeah. So explain to us what we've got here.
We've got sea aster, which I don't think it's a succulent, but it adds a nice juiciness to what you're cooking with. And rock samphire. Rock samphire also is called sea fennel.
But this is the type of stuff, you know, back 10 years ago, you never find this in
never
supermarkets.
found it, no.
Now it's in supermarkets on the fish section.
Yeah, but I was surprised. Walking down the beach in Croatia, it was growing all over the place there.
Really?
All over the place. Fantastic.
There you go. They've got you to try that.
You want to eat it right then and there sometimes.
Right. There we go. That's that.
Okey-doke.
I will then warm up this puree for you.
Thank you very much.
We've just got this over here. So this is the puree, by the way. This is the puree that we got in this blender over here. And the fish, you just leave it just sat there. It's perfectly all right like that. This looks amazing.
Just so you know, the Crown Prince pumpkin, the seeds, we've tried every method of actually making them edible. We've boiled them for 10 minutes, we've blanched them, roasted them, we've done them with bicarb soda, but they're very, very, very tough. So we don't use them for that. What we actually do use them for is putting in our stock. We roast them, and then we make like a tea out of it.
Right.
Which is beautiful.
Okay, there's your fish.
Lovely.
It just looks fantastic, this. You know it's going to taste delicious. But all your food looks amazing as well.
Got that to make it tasty.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just everybody's thinking, where's the sauce gone? But
Okay, a little bit of pumpkin seeds. Just for a little bit of texture and the toastiness. Sorry.
That's it. Zinging.
And there we are.
so give us the name of this dish.
Newlyn Gurnard, Crown Prince pumpkin, and Mandarin Koshu.
By one of the true legends of the British food scene. David, everybody. Do you want to try a little bit?
Yeah.
There you go. That's delicious. The pumpkin and that. Great combination, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And that can make anything taste good.
Yeah, really, really delicious. Happy with that, Chief?
Perfect. It's fantastic.
David, everybody. Yay! Brilliant. You're welcome back anytime. There we go.
Thank you.
Still to come, we've got a Masterclass in pears. Now we're treating singer Marti Pellow to a chicken and tarragon pie a little bit later. But join us again after the break, when cocktail maestro Merlin Griffiths will be back and cracking open the Christmas spirits. I'll see you in a bit. This is fantastic. Welcome back. Now we're chatting some more to the one and only Marti Pellow later on, and we've got a Masterclass in pears coming your way. But first, it's an honour to be joined in the house once again by a friend of the show, who's also one of the most knowledgeable bartenders in the business. It's the brilliant Mr. Merlin Griffiths. And, yeah, I mean, look at this, Merlin. Look at this. Look at this. What are you going to be doing then? First of all, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. How are you?
All good, all good, all good. And what are you going to be doing then? What's the premise of this?
OK, so Trinity drinks. Drinks with 3 ingredients. I think we all know them. Margaritas, Negronis, old fashions, daiquiris. We know all these. We know all these. We know all about them.
Yeah.
So here are, hopefully, I think I've got, how many have I got there?
You've got a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
As many as we can do.
There's about maybe 10, 12, something like that. Anyway.
Something like that.
So
Three ingredient drinks.
what are we starting with then?
And we're going to start with the bee's knees.
Right.
I'm going to start with the bee's knees. I'm going to start with a Gold Rush, and I'm going to start with a Canchanchala to kick us off.
Okay.
Again, 3 ingredient drinks.
Right. So gin in one,
Gin in one.
whiskey in the other.
Whiskey in another. And gin. Not gin, sorry, thank you. Not that. Rum in another.
Okay.
All right. Shot of each. It's all super simple. See, and the thing is with these drinks, you can make them fast and get back to your friends. I mean, it's festive season at the moment as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you can make them fast. I know that. We're all just looking, going. For anybody else watching this, we'll put this on online for you as well, so you can follow all this because this
Yeah,
is.
'cause it's a lot of drinks to get through, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a bit. Yeah.
Right, let's go. So now we can shake these up. I've got 3 on the go to start. I might. Who's feeling strong?
What's that? Give it a shake. There you go. You got one.
Look
two,
at him,
three.
look at it, look at the guns on that, look at him, look at
Right,
him.
that's
Yeah,
gold
he's
rush
got-
you've got there.
got
Lovely,
training
right.
coming up.
Here, you've got one there. Give it a really good shake, please. There you go. All right, lovely. That's the...
I know it. Not as it look visible. Is there? Why is the reason for that?
For what?
Not only mixing it, but why is the reason for it?
What, shaking
Is it
it?
because it's getting it cold, or
Getting it cold, it aerates it, it dilutes it slightly as well, which is also nice. We need that. You need that extra dilution. It's in there, softens the spirits, brings all your ingredients together. Juicy drinks. You'll find the spirituous ones, you don't tend to shake so much. You don't need to. You
what
can
is
just
that one you've got in there? Apart from a load of ice, what is in
So
that
that's
one?
our Kanchan Chada.
Which is?
Is going on there. So that's our rum, honey, lime.
Yeah.
I've got here the. That's right. I've got here the Gold Rush. That's 1, 2,
Which is?
3. So that's our lemon, honey, and Scotch. Simple 3 ingredients. Here it goes. And you've got there, lovely, the bee's knees, I believe. Oh no, that's the Kanchan. Sorry. Haha. That is the Gold Rush. That's your bee's
So
knees.
what's the bee's knees then?
So bee's knees is your gin, honey, lemon. There you go. Yeah, look, you can tell from the colour
I
instantly
can
the
tell from
whiskey's
the
in
colour
there.
straight away, yeah.
You see? Beautiful. Right. There's your first 1, 2, 3. We give you a nice big twist on that and your bee's knees. Oh, nice little string. So I can tell the difference, you see. I need to be able to tell the difference. Right, Cosmonaut next.
Yes.
Cosmonaut, beautiful drink.
It is a beautiful drink. I really like the Cosmonaut. Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've had it before in a bar, but it's yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So this must mean you've been to New York many times because it's an
been
old
to-
Sasha Petrasky drink.
They've been to New York.
Right,
Yeah.
there we go. So there you go. You get equal measures in on that one. Equal measures on those two.
It's like chef's cooking, isn't it?
Got 3 on the pass. So.
No bottles allowed in the kitchen these days.
Exactly.
Right, we're going to move that to, there we go, chill for a second. Right. What we get in on our Cosmonauts, we've got gin in there, raspberry jam, right? 2 big ones.
See, when I first tasted it, I thought, where is that flavour? It's the raspberry jam.
It's all in the jam for this one. That's
Why is it called the Cosmonaut?
Cosmo? Right, so right, so now, Sasha was all about super simple drinks. It's one of the early speakeasies, Milk and Honey, in Hell's Kitchen, wasn't it, New York? That's right. And this was his riff on the Cosmopolitan, which was massively popular at the time. Everyone wanted this pink drink. I mean, bear in mind, this is sort of before you had all the commercial purees available as well. Most bars used to be able to get commercial purees of all sorts these days, but back then, not so much. Unless you wanted chef's quantities by the kilo, which...
But do you find the cocktails still as popular as ever?
Yeah.
But there must be phases where it's just that it's the same stuff. What's that drink beginning with A that everybody's drinking at the moment?
Aperol,
Yes.
spritzer,
Yeah, that's
Spritz,
you find that everywhere, don't you?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
but all over Europe too.
Look at that, you see? So you've
This
got
is-
your sort of Cosmo kind of pink coming through on a Cosmonaut.
My
So it has
God.
a texture to it as well. That's
It does.
That's because of the jam.
Yeah.
That's a medicine for diabetes now.
But I suppose this is a sugary, syrupy sort of alternative, isn't it? Really.
Well, yeah, that's right. Which is interesting because the actual Cosmo itself, I find much more like a margarita when it's made properly. It's not so sweet on the whole, the original Cosmos. Right, there you go, making a huge mess here, and
that's
there
that
we go.
one. So that's that one. What is this one that you've got in here?
This is now our Boulevardier.
right.
So again, another good aperitivo.
Which is
but
just
it's,
remind people what
bourbon.
that-
So
yeah.
we're using bourbon, sweet martini, and Campari. Right, over to Mexico quickly
Yeah.
before heading into some 70s and 80s bars.
You're not doing too bad so far.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Right, large shot tequila.
Yeah.
There we go. You notice I'm cheating, I'm using speed pours. You probably won't have those at home, so you can spend a bit more time and jigger your spirits. But with these things, it's great. It means I can free pour and know exactly.
Because this is another thing that's become hugely popular in it. Tequila. I went into a store the other day. There's probably 100 different types of tequila.
And price-wise too.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realise it varies like whiskey, doesn't it? It goes
Oh, yeah.
stratospheric, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, you can get some really, really tasty tequilas these days.
So if you were in a bar, what is that you're asking for?
A
What is
batanga.
batanga?
And the difference
Tango.
between the tequila and mezcal?
Mezcal's the master category, I suppose. So mezcal would be like equivalent to, say, whiskey, all whiskies.
Right.
And tequila would be like a single malt scotch. It's a part of mezcal in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are some amazing mezcals to find out there as well.
Encyclopedia, like you are in terms of food, Cyrus. Look. Right.
Easy
Where are we going
press.
next? I've
We
got
are
it on my
now-
list over here. So this is. I'm not going to let you pronounce this one. Freddie.
Oh, yes, a Freddy Fudpucker.
Yes.
Now we're back to the 70s and 80s.
Right.
These are, again, 3-ingredient, fun, long, juicy party drinks. Tequila. Ice.
Tequila in both of these. So we got
tequila in one.
the Freddy Fud Pucker, and what's the other one that you're doing?
And I'm going to do, actually, and it's a similar sort of family, it's the Orange Witch we're doing there. Because they're both using Galliano, Orange Witch, Strega, if you can get it. It's quite tough to get hold of Strega.
Okay.
But Freddy Fud Pucker takes your vodka screwdriver idea,
Right.
vodka and orange, and now we do it with a tequila and orange. Always best with fresh orange, this drink, by the way.
Okay.
And then you float over the top.
And what is that for people who've never heard of it before? What is this you pouring
So
on there?
Galliano over the top. It used to be quite, it's a sort of a herbal liqueur of sorts. It used to be very, very vanilla-y. The newer version, the Autentico, still got the vanilla and a lot more of the other herbs in there as well. Gentian and these sort of things you'll find. It's a wonderful drink, and you can see it adds that nice little brighter yellow bit on the top. There we go.
get big
Let's get
bottles
ourselves a
of
little
that.
wedge of
I've
orange
seen
in
it,
there.
big bottles, isn't it?
Big bottles, yeah.
Boom. So that's your Freddy Fud Pucker, nice and easy. Right, we're almost there. Last three. Okay, so we're getting there.
So I want to talk to you about you while you're doing that.
Go on, then.
Tell me about what you're doing, and rumours that you bought a pub. Is that right?
I did. Yeah. So now we've got two pubs now, which is lovely.
But you're still working on television. You're still doing your TV job.
And we're still doing, we are. Yeah, we're still matching up lovely couples and serving them drinks.
It's one of the most best. It's one of the best programmes on TV. It really is. Brilliant. Must be a joy to work on that.
Oh, seriously, it really is. It's the bit. It's really tough. You've worked open kitchens. I've seen some of your restaurants. You've got an open pass. You can sort of get to see people. I don't know, how does it work at the Champignons? You get to see your...
Closed door.
This is it. And it's the big difference between sort of cooking in a serious kitchen and working on a bar there. For me, it's all about the people. It really is. They are the number one thing before anything else. It really has to be.
Right, so what have we got in here then? So you've got a few more to go. What are we doing now?
So I mentioned about those sort of nicknames on the drinks there. So this is... We've taken the screwdriver, done it with slow gin and a little regular gin, and that gives you a slow screw.
Right,
there we go, a slow screwdriver. You see, and this is, again, back to that idea that we always used to know what drinks were because of that. If it was hard or screaming, it either had strong rum or vodka in there as well, things like this. But all these sort of different old tips, they don't get used anymore. You can't really tell what's in a drink from its name anymore unless you actually know the drink.
OK, so give us our last two then. Last two. What are you
right,
doing
we're
here?
through onto after dinner here, and again, so say all those three ingredients, you can be in and out of your kitchen fast. Right. We are doing a brandy milk punch. So I've got here brandy, and I've got some vanilla syrup. Not too much, just a little leash, and whole milk, full cream. Tough ask that. I know most of us have semi-skimmed in the house.
Not in this house, we don't. Mate. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, this is true.
No, it's true. When you do that, you take all the goodness out of milk.
Don't need it.
You know, exactly. And lastly...
And we've got... Well, I can't believe you've done all this in that amount of time, to be honest.
Just about made it, haven't we?
So we've got one more to go then.
One more to go. And espresso martinis, we're all familiar with. Everyone knows them back to front. Reduce the amount of ingredients. Change the ingredients you're putting in there. So I'm using rum, cacao and coffee. Just the 1, 2, 3, and you get a drink called a Black Diamond.
So espresso martini would be what?
Now, that would normally be your vodka, Kahlua, dash Tia Maria, optional sugar and espresso. So you're up to quite a few ingredients on your espresso martini here. Just a simple 1, 2, 3. So there we go. Rum, coffee and creme de cacao for that darker, richer, more
This is called a Black Diamond. So where would this come from in the world? Where would this have come from?
Do you know what? I can't remember now. I've forgotten the history of a Black Diamond.
No, I'm just wondering where it comes from. Just wondering where it comes from, that's all. But
the beauty of Google will tell me later, trust me. I'm going to go and find out again because I've forgotten.
That's all right.
Here we are. We are all fallible at times. Right, strain that in there. Fine strain it as well. Don't want little chips of ice. But you see, and it still settles up quite similar with that frothy top
looks
that we're
very
used
similar
to.
though, doesn't it?
Yeah. You know, so again, you're into a sort of a familiar comfort zone with a drink like this. But also...
But these have become so popular. Espresso martini is so popular.
It's everywhere. It's one of the most popular drinks. Tuck in.
Decided which one you want?
I go for the milk. Brandy milk punch.
Brandy milk punch.
I quite like brandy Alexander, so it seems reminiscent of that, doesn't it?
Lovely. So your brandy vanilla.
I'll go for the coffee.
You're going to go for the coffee one?
Oh, there we go.
Well, I'm going to go to New York if that's all right. I'm going to try the same one that I tried at New York. So Cosmonaut that we've got in here.
Of course, there we are, Joe.
I'm interested about the jam side of it as well. But
yeah, see how that's come out.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Happy Christmas, gents. Cheers. There you go. Ching, 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 ching.
Happy Christmas.
There you go. Ching, ching. Happy Christmas, boss.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
That's the one,
That's
isn't it?
good.
Thank you.
That'd be good
All
in
you
the
need is
morning
yellow
as well.
taxis and a lot of noise. That's what you want, isn't it? That's some. Because people who've got to try this at home. Raspberry jam.
Yeah.
What else?
Fresh lemon juice. And a good lug of gin.
That's it.
That's
and
it.
ice.
1, 2, 3. Simple.
This is a good hangover cure as well, isn't it? I reckon.
Just try that.
Try that. That's bloody brilliant.
See, Sasha was a genius, by the way. Absolutely genius.
That is.
Yeah.
That's my favourite. It really, really is.
Nice. I'm happy you brought back some memories for you there as well.
It's brilliant, that.
very
Merlin, you're an
surprising.
absolute star. Brilliant job there. Right, still to come. Cyrus will be showing us how to make the perfect Indian potato cake. Hopefully, we'll keep the drinks away from him. And, of course, my other guest, Marti Pellow, will be here. But after the break, I'll be back in the kitchen with a masterclass of pears. But anyway, I'll see you in about an hour and a half. Well, 3 minutes.
My goodness.
Welcome back. Now, there's still loads more to come from my guest, Cyrus Toddywaller. He'll be working his magic in the kitchen. But first, it's time for this week's little masterclass. And this week, I thought I'd show you some brilliant recipe ideas with pears. Now, first of all, there are about 3,000 different varieties of pears out there already. I've got these ones over here. Airsy, we call these ones, with a little stripe on it. Little conference pears, but entirely whatever you use. I've got some tin pears over here. But there's a few selection of different recipes, first of all. So first of all, this time of year, we've got to talk about mulled wine and mulled pears. Very simply, you want some red wine for this. Now, it doesn't have to be fancy red wine. My best advice, really, when you're doing this, is to do it in the appropriate pan. Imagine if you put in tons of liquid in here, you're going to put loads of it in. So you want some red wine, and then we've got our spices. Now, what I like to use is a little bit of cloves, some cinnamon, and just a touch of vanilla. So the cinnamon and the cloves go in, and you want to warm this up, which I'm doing now, with, of course, your stereotypical little bit of orange and a little bit of lemon. So just take the zest. You can put the juice in there if you wanted to, but just take the zest like that. Now, what I like to do is just do it with a peeler. I think it's much easier like that. So you just peel that, a little bit of that. I'm going to keep a touch of the lemon for the next one as well. Now, with our pears, like I said, it's entirely up to you which pears you use. I've just simply peeled them. What I would do with this is just take one of these. These are little melon ballers, really, which I remember my Christmases used to be this sort of stuff with melon and ham. But you take the melon baller, and to remove the bottom out like that, you just take the melon baller and then scoop this out. And that way you'll get rid of the core of the pear, but you allow all the flavour to go into the pear as well, and all that lovely colour. So you just take, again, just to quickly show you, so peel the pears, take the melon baller like that, and then go in again, and that will get rid of the core of the pear like that. So then we can just pop that on there. And what you want to do is just gently, gently poach it. Now, you can test it with a knife. It's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. Then what you do, once they're gently simmering like that, you can see all that lovely smells from there as well. Then we just turn these off and allow them to sit in this mulled syrup. Now, you can, if you wanted to, take the pears out and reduce this all down. It becomes very, very chefy. But what I would do then is just put them in a jar like that and then leave them like this. And what you end up with is the amazing sort of pears like that, which you can then cut up. And the longer they're in the syrup, the more that syrup will ooze into the pears like that. And then all you can do is, with this, is you take your lovely pear like that. And again, it's so, so simple, this, once you've got it made. And you've got some of this glorious juice as well. We can just take a little bit of this liquor. Now, like I said, you can reduce this liquor down, and that becomes a little bit chefy. You can just take a little dollop of our creme fraiche as well, and that sits in there. And there you have it. You can serve it with a little bit of shortbread if you wanted to, but you've got a very, very simple little dessert. Mulled pears. You can either have these warm or cold as well. That's the great thing. You can just reheat them in that syrup as well. So that's that one. So this one over here, we're going to show you how to do a very, very quick and simple chutney. Now, the chutney, it is very, very quick and simple, but we start off with some aromats, things like shallots. Take a little bit of garlic, entirely up to you what you put in here, but I've got a touch of chilli. It is a very, very quick, simple chutney, this. The spice, I'm going to use a little bit of cinnamon. I've got some sultanas over here. I've got the sugar. Now, so often when you're making a chutney, you would put all the ingredients in, the sugar in and everything else, usually demerara sugar, and then you would boil it all up like that. This is a very, very quick chutney. What you want to do with this is you want to get this to a caramel. Now, this is the bit that's going to speed it all up. The pears itself, they don't have to be peeled. It's entirely up to you. But we can just take our pears. You can leave the skin on the pears. It's up to you. But we can just chop this all up just randomly like that. Now, other interesting facts with pears, they take the wood from the pears. It makes amazing musical instruments. That's what they predominantly use it for, a cabinetry and all that kind of stuff. But you've got beautiful, like a friend of mine owns an orchard, and the leftover trees that he's got, I know that they make musical instruments from it. But look, you just take your, this is all we need, something like that. Perfect. So once you've got your nice little caramel, this happens quite quickly. What you want to do is make a caramel. What you not want to do is allow this sugar to overcook. So once you get to that stage, all the ingredients are ready. I've got my vinegar over here. Everything's diced. Now I can add the sultanas into there. Now I can add the rest of the ingredients into there as well. And then I can add my vinegar. Now you can take this out. Notice how I'm standing well out of the way. This will clear your throat. This one. But rapidly cook this now with a good pinch of salt, a little bit of pepper. And that's your simple chutney on the way. It's going to take about sort of 5 minutes. It gives you enough time to make this little dessert now. So this is really, really simple. This is a pear tart. But what you can do is you can use the whole thing. If you've got plenty of people coming around for dinner, you use the whole lot. If not, we take our pastry like that. This is ready rolled puff pastry, already made. Keep that, because that'll last again as well. This is brilliant for cheese straws, by the way. A little bit of egg yolk, a little bit of Parmesan cheese over the top, a little bit of salt. You can make amazing cheese straws with that as well, which I've done on the show before. But then we can take our well-used tray. You can tell it's my house because they're proper trays like that. And then what you want to do is create a little framework. And to do that, I use a table knife. Rather than a sort of cook's knife, a table knife doesn't cut into it too much. And you use a little finger as a little gauge like that. Just marking this over the top of the pastry. Because what you want to do is you don't want to cut all the way through it. You're just creating a little framework around. Use the same knife to create little holes in the centre. Now, the reason for this is puff pastry. It's trapped layers of butter and pastry. As it cooks, the layers melt, create steam, and it causes it to puff up. What we want is that steam to disappear, otherwise we end up with a soggy bottom. But we don't want it to disappear around the edge. We want it to raise up a little bit. So to prevent that, use a knife rather than a fork, because as it cooks, then the fork, sort of holes in the fork, can then seal up. This is marzipan, which, contrary to our makeup artist, who's lovely, by the way, Rosie, it is not a thing. Rosie thought marzipan came from a quarry. God bless her. But this is just normal marzipan. There's bucket loads of this time of year in the shops. Use it for stollen bits and pieces, but marzipan, make sure you get the natural coloured, really, like that, because it's less chemical in terms of its flavour and build-up. So marzipan. You can use marzipan for this, like I'm doing, nice and quickly. You can actually get away with using that quince jelly, that membrillo that you buy. You'll see that in the supermarket as well, usually on a sort of the cheese section. So a little bit of egg on here, around the edge. Now, the great thing about this, and particularly whether you do it out of pears or apples for this, once you've made them like this, they'll freeze. So it freezes really well. And then you can either leave the skin on the pears or peel it. We're going to take our pears like that and just slice them through. So all the way through like that. Again, just take the top off. There we go. And slice these all the way through. So, and funny enough, pears, when you peel them, will go brown. That's why we put in them in a little bit of lemon water. But if you slice these, a bit like the apples, and then pop it straight in the freezer once you've done it, they don't go brown. Don't know why, but there you go. And then you can cook it from frozen. So if you find yourself, you've got a little bit of time on your hands, you can make these now ready for Christmas. And then all you want to do is take the pears. Now, I'm doing a smaller one here. I've actually cooked a larger one. But you take these and you put your slices. You can do this randomly over here. It's a bit like what you do with the apples. You can spend your time building those all up. You can do round ones. It's entirely up to you, but I quite like that rusky sort of mix and match. Typical stuff you get in a sort of French patisserie, that kind of stuff. It's all about the flavour. You can start to build this all up like that. Don't have to be too fancy, too precise with it. Wonderful. Once you get that, and you can see I'm probably keeping that in that framework. That's the thing. So I've got that little frame around the edge. The idea is that as it cooks, it sort of holds everything in together. So I've got some melted butter over here that we can just take this and just sprinkle that over the top. Now, again, this is before you freeze it. So take a little bit of that. And then you can sprinkle it with a bit of sugar if you wanted to, but nice hot oven. We used to be about sort of 210, 220 degrees. So we're going to cook this for about 20 minutes. This is going to go straight in the oven. Once it's cooked, what we end up with is this. And you've got your nice tartlet over here that we can then take a little bit of the butter, glaze over the top. Now, obviously, this is the bigger version. It hasn't just doubled in size while I baked it in the oven. That would be quite good, actually, to be honest with you, but we're just going to take our little knife and cut it. But it's very, very simple to make one like this. And you can lift that off. And you've got a really simple little pear. And that marzipan, you've got that sort of amazing flavour inside that you haven't really done anything. You kind of cheated, haven't you, I suppose? But a bit of that with it on the side. That's another one. You got your nice little bit of chutney over here. So we'll just quickly warm this up while that's in there. Now, while that's happening, I'll show you this. This is, if you've got a little bit more time on your hands, this is another one using these tin pears. This is a bit of brioche. Now, people think brioche is actually quite difficult to make. It's actually relatively easy. If you make your bread, you can make brioche. It's just an enriched yeast dough. You take the water out and use milk, and you add things, a little bit of butter and a little bit of sugar, and you end up with brioche. So this is your nice little bit of chutney. We can then lift this out. And that's it with our lovely bit of cheese. Obviously, allow this to cool down as well. And you've got your nice little bit of pear chutney to go with your lovely little cheese board. And then finally with this one, this is, like I said, this little bit of brioche. Very, very simple to make, to be honest with you. Not complicated at all. People do think brioche is quite complicated because of its name, but once you've really mastered bread, or roughly got bread right, you can do this. And this is just tin pears, really simple. I've got in here just sugar and water to a syrup, and you just brush this over and you can see it just come alive. Look, you can see it's quite dull like this, and then, but look, you've just got a nice little bit of brioche. Again, it may appear quite complicated, like I said, but relatively simple. And you can just take a chunk of that, cut it through, and you've got that with a dollop of the creme fraiche as well. Nice little dessert. So they have sort of various different ideas for Christmas, really. You have your lovely little pear brioche. You have your nice little pear and marzipan tartlet. You have your mulled pears as well, which is delicious. And then you've got a little pear chutney to go with it. So there you have it. Christmas has just started. Happy Christmas, everybody. Now, if there's anything you'd like to learn about a little Masterclass, then do get in touch. We'll see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break, but join me again in a couple of minutes when Mr. Cyrus Todiwala will be wowing us with his Indian potato cake. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now we're serving a show-stopping chicken and tarragon and actually a water chestnut pie for my guest Marti Pellow a little bit later. But first, I'm here with the man who's developed an encyclopedic knowledge of Indian cuisine over the course of his pioneering career. He's only 106. It's brilliant Cyrus Tollywaller! And of course, Marty's here, and Merlin, you're hanging around as well, because we all love Indian food. So what are you going to be making then?
So we are actually doing a green chutney.
Yes.
With coconut. We are having eggs, which we are going to chop, mix with the chutney.
Yeah, and you want me onto this bit first.
Yeah, and we are going to make potato cakes filled with the egg and the chutney.
Okay.
And we are going to serve that on top of a tomato sauce.
So where does this come from in India? Because what I love about India, you've got all these different regions, different zones. Whereabouts is this from?
This is Parsi cooking, so it's my community's cooking.
Right.
This is very popular in at events that Parsis do.
Yeah.
And we love our eggs. I mean, we couldn't live without eggs,
But you
I think.
couldn't live without eggs, couldn't live without onions.
No, and we couldn't live without coriander. And I can't live without butter either.
So what is it about the onions, though? I mean, whenever I go to a restaurant, you've almost got two people just chopping onions all day.
Yeah, I mean, in a normal kitchen, if it's doing well, you're looking at using about 150 kilos a week. So in our chutney, so lots of fresh mint. So fresh mint. Actually, this chutney makes a great sandwich as well, you know that.
So tell me about this school that you've set up, because this is fantastic. Tell me about this.
The school was, I mean, as you know, set up many years ago.
Yeah.
But what we are trying to, of course,
Certainly become more relevant recently, anyway, definitely.
Yeah, but then the proper college that we set up had to unfortunately shut down. Because
If you're coughing, then we've got a problem.
anyway, I'll let that saute. So
Right, yeah.
the idea of the school
Yeah.
is hopefully, since we're having such a massive shortage of skills, we put in the plans for approval. Then, of course, I'll be looking for support as usual.
Yeah, there you go. There's the chilies.
That's chili. That's good enough for me.
I'll keep one to spare, which is this one.
Yes, sir. We can do that.
So this is the nice little simple chutney that we got in here.
So this is simple in a sense, but we've got, we're going to add coconut to it.
Right.
I'm just waiting for the mint and the coriander to get chopped up a bit. What I'm going to do is I've got ginger garlic there.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn that. I've got another one which I made earlier. I'm going to turn it down slowly. There we go. And we keep that going slow. Let that cook off. In that will go the tomato, crushed tomato.
Okay. I'll sort that out. You sort your sauce out. Go on.
Okay, fantastic. If you can just turn that around a
I'll
bit.
do that. No problem.
So I'm just going to cut up these boiled eggs. So these we keep them soft but not totally runny.
Right.
Okay, just so they don't dry out too much. So it's about 6 or 7 minute boil and then rest it in the hot water and then we chill it down.
This is quite dry. Is this...
Because it's coconut powder, that's why.
Okay. Plenty of water.
But don't worry about it because don't add too much water because we got lovely soft eggs here. Okay. And we can blend it in a soft eggs. All you want is to taste it properly, see if it's tasting good. You got enough salt in it, you got enough sugar in it, you got enough lime in it. Oh, wow. Man, it tastes good. Don't need anything.
Happy?
Yeah.
Out like that?
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
If you're happy, I'm happy.
I'm happy. It's more like a paste. There you go.
It's a fresh chutney, so fresh chutneys are like that.
Yeah.
Some are thinner, some are thicker.
There you go.
Perfect, sir.
There you go. Right. So how
Right.
would you cook this sauce for then?
So the sauce is ready now. I'm going to turn that one off.
Turn that one down and that one. Right.
Yeah. So here
Right.
we
This
go.
is the potato cake bit.
This is the potato. If you want to just give the potato a bit of a mixer,
Right. And then you just bind a little bit of the potato in.
yeah, no, Mr. Martin.
Okay. It's like a Scotch egg.
That's a Scotch egg.
Ah!
Where do you think the Scotch egg came from?
See, he's thinking now.
Where do you think the Scotch egg came from?
Yes.
India.
India.
Yes.
No, Persia.
Yeah.
Persia originally. But you know why it was named Scotch egg?
No.
James knows the story. You know, when Sir Walter Scott went to India,
Aye.
he met the Maharana, one of the Maharanas of Patiala,
Yes.
and he was served the Nergisi kofta there. And he fell in love with it. When he came back, he asked the chefs to make something similar. They started calling it Scottish eggs.
I told you, it's like an encyclopedia.
Every day's a school day. Every day's a school day around this man.
Right, there we go. Right.
You know? Perfect. Yeah, either we can make them like cake, or since we are talking about Scotch eggs, we'll
Put it
keep
into
them
an
that
egg
shape.
shape.
So we'll put it to an egg shape. Or normally, we would have a... Sorry, sir, your fork is going.
Do you want me to season the flour?
Yes.
Okay. So tell everybody about your restaurant then, because you've moved around a bit with the restaurant.
Yeah, we moved around a bit, but we are back now with Cafe Spice. Namaste, sitting by Royal Albert Wharf,
Yes.
overlooking City Airport. And it is... it's getting there, it's getting there. It's still new, but the views are beautiful. And it's the menu, gradually I'm getting where I want to be.
Yeah.
With my menus, slowly understand the kind of new customers we are building up. And then, of course, the old ones are coming back.
So this is this semolina side of it as well.
Yeah, so I mean, you can put crumbs, you can put semolina.
And then I'm assuming they can put this straight in the deep fat fryer. can
Deep
you?
fried fryer straight. So if you...
Okay. I'll
there
take
you
this
go.
across and then
Perfect.
I'll pop this in there. So
Thank you, sir.
nice hot oil.
1, 2. We got 3 plates today,
3 sitting.
not 2. Imagine that.
Oh, Cyrus, I saw you use the stalks in the chutney,
Yeah.
not the leaf.
No, the leaf used for garnish or whatever, but stalk is so much flavor. You never throw the stalks out. I think people make a mistake. Even if you get them with the root on, don't throw it out. Wash it, you know. It is excellent for last
You make
minute
that
flavoring.
taste like that. Just taste
Just
a
taste
little
the
bit.
sauce like that. Yeah.
Just taste a little bit of this with your fingers. Just go with a little bit of this.
How's that?
That's not bad.
Come on, man.
Kaboom!
Brilliant. This is why I love Indian food.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
That'd be great in a sandwich, as you say. That'd be lovely.
If in a sandwich, that tastes really awesome.
Absolutely
Actually,
great.
it does. There we go. Mr. Martin's ready and waiting.
I want my eggs for
We
breakfast.
got our 3 plates ready.
Right, they're just about there.
Just turn the fire off. You happy with that, sir?
I think so. You?
Yep. The only problem you do have with semolina,
Doesn't colour as much as breadcrumbs.
it doesn't color and the cake can crack up sometimes.
Yeah.
That's about it.
But you get a lovely crust on
But
it.
then we have gone and made them into, instead of cakes, we made them into Scotch egg shapes. Since we have a Scottish man on the panel here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Very important Glaswegian.
No, thank you very much.
So if I just
Happy
cut
that, Mr. Martin?
You made that one. I'm not cutting mine. 'cause I made the rest.
Now that you started, you might as well
That's
finish
all right,
it.
Look at that.
Oh, man. Aye.
How good do they look?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. And like you say, really simple
And fast.
and definitely fast. There you go.
It's beautiful.
That one. They look amazing. So give us the name of this dish again. I love
Okay.
this.
The name of the dish again is Papeta Edano Patties. So, eggs coated in coconut chutney,
Yeah.
filled into a potato case, crumbed or semolina as we did,
Yeah.
fried, served on a bed of beautiful fresh tomato sauce.
They look amazing. Cyrus Tollyweller, everybody.
Thank you.
Mega, you got one each. One each here. There you go.
Oh, my God.
Dive in. Dive in. See what you think. And look, I've got one as well.
Look at this.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I've got a spoon there.
We've got applause over here already.
Great.
Magnificent, chef.
Superb, my friend.
Super
Superb.
tasty, isn't it?
Happy?
Ecstatic. Absolutely brilliant.
There we have it. Cyrus, everybody. Fantastic. Cheers. Right, we've still got time for one more final course, so join again after the break when I'll be rusting up a chicken and tarragon pie. Marti Pellow will be rusting up a festival performance of his very own. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, sadly, to the last part of the show. But I'm back in the kitchen with Marti Pellow. Right, yes, that's Sam upstairs. There you go. Right, for my final cook, I thought I'd treat you to a dish. I know it's right up your street, really. It's a chicken and... I was going to just do a chicken tarragon pie, but I was wandering around the supermarket the other day and I found these water chestnuts. And it reminded me of a dish that this was the first dish I think I probably learnt to cook in a professional kitchen. I think I was about 8 years old. You probably were about that when you were singing, were you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so they let me loose in the kitchen with a knife and bits and pieces when I was about 8, and I learnt to do this. So it brings back so many memories, and that's what I'm going to do. So it's a chicken and water chestnut pie. The first thing we do is create the aromats. So we just use a little bit of, carrots, you can just chuck them in like that. Carrots, the leek, like that, a little bit of onion. So all the while, we're just building up this little bit of flavour to then cook our chicken in. The best way to do that, really, is to go back, I've taught you before on this show as well, is to take this and spatchcock it.
All right.
So with a spatchcock, what you're doing is turn it over. So obviously this is the breast part. You turn it over, and then you cut this bit down the centre, like that, down there. Now, we do it exactly the same way as spatchcocking it. So once we get to that stage, cut the other side. You take about an inch-sized piece down the middle of it, all the way through. And then we still use that because that's all flavour as well. That can go in the pot. And then what we do is take our chicken, press it down like that, and take the whole lot and sit it in our water. That way we don't use anywhere near the amount of water that if we'd had to put a whole chicken in. So that sits in there. We're going to cook that gently. It takes about 45 minutes, something like that. Allow that to cool, and then take all the meat out. And what we've got is we've got this over here. And this is where I'm going to start to build up our pie, and I'm going to make a sauce with this. So bring it to the boil, gently simmer. Takes, like I said, about 45 minutes. Leave it to cool down. And then you can take that and utilise the stock that's from that. And I've got the stock over here, and I'm going to make a simple little white sauce, which I'm surprised you even get a chance to do any cooking, to be honest with you.
Okay, but you see, I mean, my eyes lit up there when you said pie. See, pie is the ultimate...
Is that the Scot in you, though, really?
But it is. It's like, James, I kid you not, I will travel to 200 miles, I live in London, and I will travel to Dunblane to a butcher there to get my steak pie, and I've become obsessed with it because I'm getting withdrawal symptoms, so I'll go there because there's so much comfort in the pie.
So we got a little sauce. So I've made a little bit of roux in here. So this is your flour and your butter, and then what you want to do is you want to take... You can enrich this. So this is coming to the boil now. I've taken some of this stock. Utilise this as well, and don't throw this away. This is amazing if you freeze it. Because this makes the most amazing soups. So because you've got that, if you want to really intensify the flavour, reduce it down by about 3/4 and it'll get stronger and stronger and stronger. But don't throw it away. You've got amazing flavour in there. Touch of cream. This is double cream. Nice. Never, ever, ever do you use single cream. Nope. Not me, anyway. And we just take our lovely little sauce over the top of that. Nice. Now, I know you could more or less eat it like this, but then what you want to do is we want to allow this to chill. So allow it to cool and let it go cold, because what we've got in here is what we've got, this one. And then we're going to make the pastry for this. So I'm just going to make the pastry by taking a combination of these ingredients over here. I'll just check what we've got in here. So this is a kind of like a rough puff pastry. When you're doing this, so classically puff pastry is made with a dough that you make, and you laminate a big lump of butter. It's usually like croissants. It's usually half the amount of weight in dough to butter.
To butter. No, I subscribe to that right away. Yes, please.
Yeah, but when you're doing this, so rough puff pastry is everything's cold. The water's really cold, and you mix this together.
Right.
Now, what you end up with is this really unusual sort of dough, which I'll show you in a second. So we mix this like this, and it all starts to come together. Take a little bit more flour and bring it all in, and it'll form this weird dough, look.
Oh, right, I'm with you.
It's kind of odd because it's got chunks of butter in, look.
Right.
So what you want to do is bring all this lot together. I'll just show you while we're on here. Move this. So you can see it all come together quite quickly. But you roll it all out, and you've got this bread dough like this.
Right.
Now, I was going to mention your book at this point in time, but I don't really want to grab it when I'm doing this, to be honest with you. So I'll do that. I'll do it in a second. But what we could talk about the tour as well, because I know this is something you're hugely passionate about. Because unlike when you go to a concert and stuff like that, it's very regimented. You know what songs you're going to be playing, and you've got to play all the hits. This is something new for you. This is something. Well, tell us about it. Tell us what it's called. How long does it go on for?
It's like I'm doing it in stages. Like, so I'm doing like 3 months, and then I'll take another. I'll take another 4 months off, and then I'll do another 3 months and another 4 months off, and then do another. It's coming in 3 stages, I think, in total. But I just wanted to do something that had that freedom. And the same way that, here's the thing, right? If you're working to a regiment like the set, and you expect the same results every night, the audience won't give you that, because you've got to read the audience. If you're dealing with the audience right there. Then you would play a certain song or tell a certain story. So there is a skill set that's quite similar.
But this is you're playing music, which is all related to this as well, right? Now I can touch the book, you see.
Yeah.
So Pillow Talk.
Yes.
So this is the cool thing about it. Not only is it in the little box like this,
Right.
You've got the book,
Yeah.
but also you've got the CD inside there as well.
Got the CD inside it because I just wanted to have music to listen to it. I had to go hand in hand, so that you've got that a soundscape to listen when you're.
Is it the first thing you've written out like this?
Absolutely.
What first people are going to be watching going? It's because it's not a autobiography. This is a collection of stories that you've got.
Yeah. Because I think I always get asked to do an autobiography and stuff like that, and I think no, I don't want to do that. I don't know. I was a wee bit scared, but then I think once I found the correct writer.
Yeah.
And who spoke to me in a certain way, and I could get involved in the design and the art of it, and make the album, and they would go with the book.
Sorry, I'm making a lot of noise.
No, it's all right, why man? I can get louder, and I was loud. And it just seemed to make sense.
Sorry.
No. And that was the plan. It was just to make this book, and then and hopefully maybe it'll be one part of a series. I don't know.
That's brilliant as well. Look, you can see from this. It kind of looks really unusual, but this is the moment where we call this in the industry. We call this book turns.
Right. Okay.
It's relevant to what we're doing today.
Yes, indeed.
So book turns means what we want to do is we want to laminate this butter.
Yeah.
In the pastry. So what we do, you can roll this out perfectly, but this is rough for pastry. So you fold it over like that, fold it over like that, you fold it over like that.
Right.
That's the first book turn. Now, you mark it 1. Now, you do that 3 times. So any more than that, it becomes like short crust pastry. But you do that 3 times, and then we've got one that's been in the fridge 3 times. And the more you laminate it,
Yes.
the more those layers, the more that butter disappears. Every time you do it, you put it in the fridge.
Right.
But you've now got layers of butter inside here. Now, if you want to do the real puff pastry, that's a little bit more trickier. That's a big block of butter, probably twice that amount.
Right.
And then you roll it all out, and it looks pretty horrendous. Heart attack material. I'll have doctors phoning me up if I started to make that on TV.
Oh, yes. Comes with a free defibrillator.
It doesn't.
It's like, Gagoom! Enjoy the pie.
It is. It's a bit horrendous. So then what we do is got a little bit of egg wash, which you've got on here, around the edge. Now, the thing about this, you can make this now for Christmas, for New Year. You can then freeze it. Lift that over the top. Now, this is way too much pastry, but now what we do is take a knife all the way around, because you haven't frozen anything. All these ingredients are fresh.
Yep.
Now, once it's done, you can then freeze it. So you can make it now. And then what we can do is just use your finger and thumb, press this together to seal it all in, like that. These just crimps it all on there to stop it sliding into each other. Like that. Now, I wouldn't egg wash it until it comes out of the freezer, but until you want it.
Yeah.
Egg wash it, a little bit on there. You can put some fancy leaves on it. When you're egg washing, a little bit of egg wash on there as well. But then We've got in here.
Want me to pipe the pie in?
Look at that.
Oh, come on.
Chicken pie.
Eat the pie. Eat the pie. Eat the pie.
That chicken pie. And then you can take your nice...
Come on. Oh, come on, June. Do you hear the crack?
Yeah, that's the pastry. So
Oh.
look. And you've got that. With your lovely chicken.
Oh, come on.
So there you have it. Marty, it's a pleasure having you at your house.
Mate.
I'll see you next week, because you didn't leave from the last time you were here.
Oh, I tell you what, I mean, I must say, I do TV programmes and TV programmes. It's a pleasure coming to your home, James, and it's a pleasure eating your food, my friend.
It's a pleasure talking to you. And you're going to play us out at the end of the show as well,
Yes,
right?
I am.
He's going to play us out in a minute. But first of all, the director likes to do this. He calls it a pack shot. So off you go. It's a fancy TV shot. Off you go. There we have it.
Oh,
You don't have
you,
to
my
travel
count.
for Scotland for that pie.
no way. This
Down the
looks
road.
incredible. Here we go.
What's chestnut? It's the way
Man.
it's making.
I mean, that's it. It's all shades of right. It's just brilliant. What's there not to love about a pie?
It's good, isn't it? With the what chestnut.
Man, the what chestnut.
There you go. Well, that's it, sadly. That's all we've got time for today. A massive thank you to all my guests, Merlin Griffiths, David Everett Mateus, Cyrus Toller, and of course, the fantastic Marti Pellow.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you back at the same time next Saturday morning, where we're joined by more top chefs, other brilliant guests, but now performing the journey. Off you go. Off you can take the pie with you.
That's non-negotiable.
Of course, performing the journey is the amazing Marti Pellow. See you next Saturday. Bye for now.
They say that home is where the heart is, but the heart is hard to find when your ceiling's made of starlight. Lady Moon seems so unkind. I see the firelight through the window, but it doesn't warm my hands. In the snow, in the snow, in the snow. I took the wrong direction, wandered off the Midas plan. Those stepping stones were fragments that had left this broken man. But the kindness of the strangers helped me get up off my knees. Let me grow, let me go, let me go. So we all share our hope and aspiration, and from under the sky, my Sierra Nevada called to me. Crossing Sacramento, my mind is taken back to the outline of the angels and the snow outside the shack, to the place where I was lifted up and set back on my path. Let me grow, let me grow, let me grow. So we all share our hope and aspiration, and from under the same majestic skies, and my mind takes me back, my Sierra Nevada calls to me.